Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Care2Grow Show podcast, where we highlight healthcare providers that care in a very big way. And in today's podcast, I'm very excited to introduce to our community Dr. Kim Carpenter. Hey, Dr. Kim.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. You are on a short list of some of my favorite human beings.
Likewise.
I absolutely love and adore you. So, Dr. Kim and I go back to chiropractic school. We actually met back in 2002. And interestingly enough, Dr. Kim and I worked together in our first year out of chiropractic school in the same practice in northern New Jersey. Dr. Kim is from Louisville, Kentucky. In 2005, she moved out of New York, New Jersey, and moved back to Louisville and set up her practice, which has grown to be one of the leading wellness chiropractic practices in the country. She calls it Awaken to Wellness.
Yep, you got it.
Awaken to And Dr. Kim has also been an author of children's books where she likes to teach children from an early age how to eat well, move well, and think well. She has been a coach. She is a warrior for women chiropractors, and I want to speak a lot about that because I love that year and a half we worked together. It was
Yeah.
me and two incredibly strong women chiropractors, and I've always said I've learned so much about being a compassionate provider from watching women work.
That's
And you are a true healer and a gift to your community. And I can't wait to dive into this conversation about how you care for people. So,
Thank you.
welcome to the podcast, Dr. Kim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I learned a ton in that first year. I would not be where I am today without you or with Dr. Lori. And I can say that meeting you shaped my life in so many ways. And the way I practice today, I can still hear you in my board of directors voice on things that are challenging, or if I'm having like in a rough moment, I'll hear your voice and I will swing right back into action. So I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. It's
Oh,
wonderful to be here with you today.
mutual love, and we do check in with each other quite often. And you are definitely one of my prime advisors as well when it comes to care. So let's talk about your journey. You were grew up an athlete, and it kind of led you down the road towards chiropractic. Uh, tell us why you became a chiropractor. Like why did you decide to go to the path least chosen?
Well, I always was a very strong driver and wanted to be in control of every aspect of my life. And so I always knew I would go into be in some form of a leadership role. And I also always had a passion for healthcare. And chiropractic changed my life at the age of 16, was adjusted, my life drastically changed. And as I started to look more and more at healthcare, I didn't want something where I was writing a piece of paper and handing somebody an exit. I really wanted a career that I could make a huge impact, have power of how it ran, and also be able to influence people's lives in really big ways. And so once chiropractic had done that for me, it was a natural fit. And I just dove into the profession and then was open to learning whatever I needed to learn to be able to be successful and impact people's lives.
That's amazing. And so when you went to University of Louisville, you were
Mhm.
a volleyball player, right?
Right.
How did chiropractic impact your performance on the court?
I would have never made it as a Division I college athlete without chiropractic. It from every aspect, from it started obviously what how it does for a lot of people with maybe some back pain or joint pain, and was back on the floor that night for a really big game. So that was great. I was intrigued. But then I kept going and I really learned about just how to eat well, how to move well, things that were showing up in lab work that was always titled genetic or that's just the way it is, not a big deal. And I learned a ton about really whole body health and how to start to manage your lifestyle. No one had ever talked about lifestyle.
Mm.
And and so I feel like I was really blessed to be able to shift off of that traditional medical route at a really young age because I was headed towards most likely some form of medication for a variety of things. And then from there, I just started to seek different types of healthcare and ask different questions, and I started getting different results. And so that to me was huge. I also felt like with most of the chiropractors that I saw at that young age, they were looking at me as a whole person and not a part. And
Mm,
everywhere else I was going, with the different types of healthcare, were looking at me as a piece. It was a back,
mm.
knee, it was a lab work, but it wasn't a whole person. And so that really intrigued me. And then I just kept exploring more and more.
So we fast forward. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot working together in New Jersey, and then you decide to move back to your community where you grew up and open your practice. And I know that you are and still are very intentional with every word you use, everything you call it, every move you make is intentional. So talk to me about the intention when you decided to open Awaken to Wellness. Just the name of it is
Mhm.
intentional. Speak to the intention and what the vision that you had for your practice in those early days.
Yeah, and you have to remember, I mean, it's been 20 years. So when you go back into that time, organic was not known or talked about. And if you did, you kind of had four heads and everybody thought you was crazy. The word wellness was really not a brand at that point. And so for me, I knew there had to be a better way than what people were doing. And I knew at that point that if you're going to change a mindset of someone, if you're going to meet them where they are and kind of sit down and figure out where they've been and now know where they are. If you want to know where they're going next, you've got to have a bigger vision than what they have. That's one piece. And so I always knew I could see more in people's potential than sometimes they could see in themselves.
Leadership.
So I wanted to be able to tap into that. And knowing that I needed to use words that one would resonate with them, two, they could actually hear, and three, words that weren't traditional in all of the other models of the sick care system that they were experiencing. I wanted them to know there was a better way and something different. And I also wanted to help them tap into really the greatness that I could see in how if they would just live slightly different or think slightly differently, then would they have different outcomes? And I was raised in a way where how you think matters. I was like that when I was a kid. I was like that when working with you, like that took it to a whole nother level. And so I knew if I could translate that type of piece with other people, they would have different outcomes in their life. And of course, their health would get better. So words matter so much. And I had to pause because I am a driver. I had to slow myself down and really think about what words mean and how they impact people.
Mm.
And in doing that, I think I was able to tap into people's ability to heal or make different choices differently, maybe than other providers.
Well, your model has been wildly successful because if we fast forward 20 years, you and I spoke just a couple months ago, and you informed me that your practice is full. Like
It's full.
there, you have for months and maybe even years had to refer new patients to other chiropractors because you're full.
Yeah, there were
When
2 years that I literally filled another person's office.
how long? How
Two
long?
years.
For the past 2 years. So, at a time where healthcare practitioners and definitely chiropractors are spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads just trying to get more new patients, more new patients, more new patients, you have an incredible retention model, and it's something that we're very proud of in our practice as well. Is our patient retention model. It's amazing and not coincidental that you and I are masters in patient retention. Speak to your care. What is it about your care that once people become a patient of yours, they're a patient of yours for life?
Well, I think a lot of it starts with the provider's mindset. I mean, when I meet you, I'm on your team. So whether you are following everything I say, following a piece of what I say, I'm on your team and it's going to be really hard to get rid of me. And I'm going to really push for you to be accountable. And I tell people that, like at day one, I'm like, look, you're here. You waited. Sometimes you waited 6 months and you're in now. So we're going to do this together. I'm going to meet you where you are, but I'm in your life and we're going to work together a long time if you truly want to be healthy and if you want your
Mm,
life to be different. So I think some of it is knowing as a provider, like what's your role? And if your role is going to be, let's say that your role is, I am excellent at helping people get out of low back pain for 12 visits. Okay, great. If you're a PT, a chiropractor, massage therapist, that's what you do. Awesome. Be the best at it, but recognize that you're dealing with a human being that got to that place most likely through a lot of whispers before their body was screaming. And so
Mm,
if you want to listen to those whispers, you can get them out of the scream. But I feel like healthcare, your job is to also look at them as a whole person and how do they get there? And so if you don't want to specialize in things that help people build beyond your specialty, then I do feel it's your job as a healthcare practitioner to build a team of people for them
mhm,
that can help them live better. I think we owe it to people as a provider to at least plant the seed that you could be healthier. And if we really, as a country, want to see people see a different world and different culture, it starts with how they live. Everybody lives.
mm.
If you want to be a healthcare provider, do it with the intention of making the world better and people better. You can do your role, but build a team. So I'm on their team from that point on. There will be people that do everything I say, or they know that over the next 12 to 18 months, their journey's going to change and get better. But then there's people who will say to me, I can only focus on this right now. Great. If I'm the fit, I'll help you. And if not, I'll see you in 6 months and let's talk about what your next health goal is. Because you should be past that one at that point, right? So it's, I'm not here to just take care of a back pain. I'm not, if I were a dentist, I wouldn't be just taking care of your tooth. Like I would be
Mhm.
helping you create the lifestyle that's going to allow you to be the best human you can be. And then that's what we talk about on the first visit.
That is a deeper level of care. That's just saying, I'm going to care beyond what you are coming here for
Yeah,
because I care about the whole you, not just the chief complaint on the paperwork.
that's right. Because you're not that chief complaint. You're a whole.
Correct. Yeah, right. And the other thing, and I can just feel it in your tone, is you're not just supporting your patients, you challenge them when they need to be challenged, and you support them when they need to be supported.
Absolutely.
And so when you're caring for people now, what are some of the common things that you hear about how they're being cared for in the current healthcare system in America?
Oh, it's horrendous. And it honestly creates a lot of work for me. Like I try to fill those gaps. So if someone needs a test run or someone needs, let's just go with simple, like say they need an MRI or they need whatever. Sometimes we can order it. I order a bunch when we need it. And then there's times there's a restriction that they might need another provider to write it or it's out of my scope. So often they're then stuck, right? They can't get the test, they can't get the answer. And most of healthcare is compartmentalized to where if you're not if you need a cardiologist, you go to the cardiologist, but your symptoms endocrinology. Well,
Mm,
okay, cardiologist goes, not my wheelhouse, you're out. Okay, then where do they go? What do they do? Who helps them? And they're just left in this void of a constant, like, that's not my job. I'll see you later. I'm not your person.
right.
I tend to be, and this is the piece that does become time consuming, and I'm very protective of it, but I also have very good systems for it now. Is if you're my patient and that you're stuck in that, I'm really going to help you navigate it. My
Mm,
referral list is huge. We get a ton of referrals from other providers because we've built that list, but I really help them bridge the gap of things that sometimes are really have not a lot to do with me, but I'm trying to create that keep that wheel going in their entire healthcare journey because they need somebody to advocate for them. So
wow.
I'll do that.
This is unique, right?
Yeah.
So one of the purposes of this podcast is to highlight unique ways providers care for their patients. And what you just said is you're the quarterback. You
Yes, and that's
patient
what I want to be, you
you
know?
don't have to fix everything
Nope.
yourself, but you have an army of excellent providers, and you can shuffle the patient to the correct provider for that specific need. And that
Yes.
has an incredible amount of value to the patient because now you're a trusted resource because you have a network of trusted resources and you care so much about them that if their specific need is outside of a service that you provide in your office, you get them to the right person.
They still need it. Yes. And I would rather be the quarterback because I know I'll do it right. I know I'll follow through. And I also know it's going to come through the lens of what, if you're a patient with me, you probably somewhere believe in the philosophy of of the way I practice. And I believe you have full potential from inside to heal, regulate, and have impact on your health through your choices. So I also know I can do it through the lens that's empowering that person versus um, they're now stuck and it's coming from an outside in model. I can help them
Mhm.
realize internally what can you do to manage it better? How can you heal better? Are there other alternatives? Is that the only way? And so I want to be that quarterback because I want to help them build their ideal life, not just take care of that one problem. And I know I'll do it right. And so for me, I like that because I have a bigger impact on helping them get where they want to be. So I take a lot of pride in it. It is more work. And it's often work that like don't get me wrong, we do high volume and it all sounds like, well, maybe she's spending 2 hours with people. I don't have to do
Mhm.
that. Like I have really solid systems that match our care. So we can do it fast, effectively, efficiently. There are days where I spend more hours or time than probably what I should in the background making stuff happen, but that's my purpose. It fits my purpose. So I sleep well at night. I feel great about my day, and I know that person got what they need.
Mm.
That's lacking in healthcare. It's not
100%.
easy. People stop, close the door, and say they'll figure it out. Well, you can't do that if you want to be a healthcare provider.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And this is the message that we want to ripple throughout America. So it sounds to me that your model is an empowerment model where you're empowering that person to find the answers, to let them know that there are answers, versus a model where people are being told they're broken, they can't be fixed, live with it. You'll have to just kind of, settle. So I want you to speak to the empowerment philosophy that you have, or even just the wording of awaken to wellness. So what is that core philosophy of your practice, and how are you uplifting the patient's own vision for their own health?
That's a great question. So I think it comes with versus telling people like what they need to do or I'll definitely inform them of what's wrong, where the challenges are, but I think it really comes down to discovery. So if you're going to awaken, you got to discover what's working for you or what's not. And so I think for me, I'm really encouraging people to, by asking questions, I'm doing it with intention so that they will discover other ways that may work for them to live well and to be better in life. So I think the awaken part is a reminder that you're not stuck, it's not over, you're not done, you're not alone. You can awaken to a better way or a different way of doing things, living and approaching life that can allow you to really live the life of your dreams if you really are bold enough to go get it. And so we do that through healthcare in the office. I do that in my life every day personally. My team does it in here. If you're going to work here, there's just a different type of person that works here. So it's not awaken to me is just an opportunity to discover something different. And if you're not awakening to something different in your life on a regular basis, then your life's probably a bit stale and
Nothing's going to change.
probably not living with purpose. And so for me, that's just a key word that reminds me like, go to the purpose and discover what's new. And if
Mm,
you do that, you'll get different results than maybe what got you to where you are right now.
beautiful, beautiful. I want to speak about your office. And for the listeners, if they were to step into your office tomorrow as a new patient, if you were taking them, um,
Well, we are now because I've hired a team. So you can have a 2-year block, and at some point you better get a team.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? Yeah, there's a responsibility to get the
Yeah.
people really good care. So I'm happy to hear that for your community. So new patient walks into your office. What is the culture of the office? What is the intentional feel when I walk in there, from everything from the first phone call to the greeting at the front desk to how you introduce yourself? Talk about the culture and the feel.
One, it's upbeat. Any challenge we have is left at the door when we walk through it. And the only purpose that day is to give and love and serve with intention and
Mm,
every single person better than when they came in. So most of things I think are truly just acknowledgement, and that people are so rarely just acknowledged in the world.
mm,
They're all passing by, they're doing their thing, they're stuck in their stuff, they're looking at their phones. So first, it's just to acknowledge someone, say their name, greet them. I mean, that little piece is so different than half the places they go. Um, so you're gonna feel just a general happiness when you walk in, because when we're there, that's it. That's what it's about. And if you can't love Sally or Frank who's walking through the door, then you probably don't need to be there, because everything
mm,
we try to bring out whatever is awesome about that person from the moment they walk through the door to the moment they walk out. We're acknowledging how much good they bring into the world, telling them thank you for being there. We don't use words like, how are you today? Like, are you good or great? Like, which one are you today,
mm,
Sally? Like,
mm.
if you can just raise the vibration of the people that walk through the office, immediately they aren't getting that in other places. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, maybe unfortunately and fortunately, unfortunately, it's so dismal in most places. It's just
Mhm.
not hard to
Yeah, the
literally
bar has
acknowledge.
never been lower, right?
Like, it's
Yeah.
that simple, you know.
Yeah.
When we're on the phone, we know that there's sometimes a hesitation with our profession. Like, people think they know what we do, they have no idea what we do. They have a hesitation, they're sick, tired, and unhappy when they first call. It's taking just a second and saying, well, Sally, I'm really glad you called today. Let's spend some time getting to know you. Not just your
Mm,
standard, like, tell me your name, tell me your number, here's this, what's that? Okay, it's this. Like, this is a person. So
mm,
most of it's like just acknowledgement. And then what we tend to hear, because everyone ends up talking in the reception room, is most people will come here and say, I could sit here and hang out all day long because everybody in
mm.
this building is always happy. And it's pretty darn true. Like, most people are just happy to be there. It's a place where they get to be seen, they can let down. It's just different in this the energy when you walk in the door.
That's beautiful. And you speak a lot about knowing the person. And
Hmm.
one of the key reasons why doctors suffer burnout is from depersonalization. The person becomes more like a unit or a
Hmm.
CPT code or an
Yeah,
ICD-10 code or an insurance company, and knowing the person. So how you see a lot of people,
we do.
and you're a high volume practitioner, yet you form these deep connections with patients. There's a misconception that if we're going to care or be compassionate providers, that it's going to take a lot of time.
There you go.
Can you
Yeah.
speak to that and the myth of that?
Yeah, I mean, I see people, I read a lot of different posts in different groups on healthcare. And so many are looking as a provider. First of all, their provider has to have self-esteem. And so a lot of things are built on, they equate this time with being liked. They equate this time that the patient will feel it was valuable. Well, I think as a practitioner, as a healthcare practitioner, you one have to just know you're valuable. Like, I am valuable. There's not a
Hmm.
lot of me. And
Hmm.
so if you know your own worth, it's easy to not spend so much time trying to make yourself feel valuable. You can just dive into the patient, right? So you can skip that step.
Right.
Um, the patient relationship is about care, and quality comes from how you listen. If you're organized, do you have a plan? Do you know where they're going and where they're going to end up before they ever do? Are you accountable with yourself and your systems? Like, when they show back up, did you do your due diligence and you know what they might need that day, or where they should be that day, and where they should be in 2 visits and where they should be in 6? Do you know that as a provider?
Hmm.
And if you do, they feel that. So I don't have to convince them I care about them. They've never
Hmm.
met anybody who cares about them like I do.
Hmm.
I don't have to convince them that the schedule's right. We're way past that by the time we get to the report of findings, because there's certainty in what I'm going to offer. And I also have accountability in knowing I will do my part. And if it's not right, we'll change course. So you can do that effectively if you, as a provider, have self-esteem, you have systems that allow you to stay organized, you're accountable on the back end of making sure you get to the office early, you're prepared, you know what's coming, then you don't have to spend as much time. If you are a procrastinator, you float through visits, you're hoping and praying that something works, you're not ready for that person. So then you do need more time because you got to hem and haw about where you're going. But if you know what you're doing and you know where you're going and you're prepared and accountable and you have self-esteem, you can move right through things fast and do it at an excellent pace and provide great care.
Wow, there's just so much to unpack there. And I think for doctors or healthcare administrators who are listening to your podcast, there's such confidence that exudes out of you. And there's such a blend of confidence and certainty and love and compassion at the same time. Um, we are both students of Larry Markson, and we learned very early on like who you are determines how well what you do works. So it's your planning and your organization and your commitment to the patient that is all coming out of who you are,
There
a
you go.
caring, compassionate leader of people. And you are the perfect and prime example of that. And so it's not just a doing thing. Like it's a being thing. And to your point is you don't have to convince them; they can just feel it in your presence.
That's
So
right.
how do you feel that your care culture has had a direct effect on your retention, your revenue, your referrals?
Everything. I mean, you have to grow yourself. You have to also be very willing to get vulnerable and look in the mirror and say, I'm really good at this, but I'm really terrible at this. And
Mm,
for someone who really is a driver and really at times has an ego, that's not always easy. And
hmm
that really, my first 5 years of practice was way more, it was very, I was good fast. Like I was successful fast. I had a busy practice fast. So the do part I had in place, right? Because I knew
mm,
the systems, I knew what to do. You tell me to do it, I'm going to do it and I'm going to be successful at it. The B part was different. And that took longer to grow. So there wasn't as much joy. I mean, the first 5 to 7 years is hard anyway, because you just have a lot of different stressors. There wasn't as much joy as there could have been. And it felt a
mm,
lot more like pulling something up a mountain versus enjoying the experience of it because I hadn't grown myself to the level that it needed to be able to manage a successful team of employees, right? Or to be able to manage patient care without fear, or to be able to look at myself and say, I'm so impatient that it's going to make me self-destruct, right? So
interesting.
then you get to your values. And I think when I really started living from a values-driven life is when everything changed. And so if you don't know your three values, then you say yes to a lot of things you shouldn't. You might
Mm,
live in scarcity more. You might procrastinate more. You're not as organized. Your ego's in so much that you can't be vulnerable enough to look at someone and say, "I don't know, but I'll build a team for you that does." Like you don't have those skills yet. So to truly get to the point where you're providing great care and a great business that will allow you to give great care and a great family life and to be able to be congruent with your own self habits that you're not a walking contradiction, like you're
mm,
living what you know people, how you know people can live. That's work. That's probably the harder work because it's a self-reflection. But
mhm,
practices that care, healthcare, businesses that care, people that care, they're living life through values, right? So I try to look at my practice from a consumer standpoint and from a provider standpoint. So as a consumer, do I want to go to someone who's incongruent on the backside? Like, would I really go to me? And if I could
mm,
look at myself and say, would I like, would a patient like that? If if I won't do that or say that in front of a patient, or I might treat my team a bit more like haphazard because we're in a meeting and I just want things done, is that the best version of me and what I want to see me, what I want to work for me, what I want to be that, what I want that person to be my provider, what I want that person to be my spouse, whatever it is. If you have no's in there, you have things to clean up. And I still work on it all the time. There's a constant self check in of like, am I the best me I can be? Was I today the best me I could be? When you do that, it's easy to care. your systems are built, your team is there, and you get to then enjoy the process of being a healthcare provider or just a person in life. But until you're doing that, you're you're going to need more time. You're going to be more frustrated. You're not going to provide as good of care because you haven't grown yourself to be able to
Mm.
do what you're trying to do, right? So you got to be willing to look at that and go, this isn't working and it's me.
Ah, perfect advice. In we built out Care2Grow University for doctors or organizations that need more training, and it's almost like, well, we come from the same place. You're just citing the things that we teach in the early modules where we teach doctors and organizations to work on the B. And part of that is developing purpose and developing the value system, which are basically the rules of your sandbox, and
Mhm.
to drop the ego. The ego gets in the way of your true heart emerging, and the self-awareness. It's self-awareness is what you're talking about. Like, taking a step back and looking in the mirror, but would I come to me? And how am I being perceived by my team right now? So if you were going into a practice as a consultant and they had a culture issue, where would you start with that practice? It may seem like so overwhelming for them. Where would they get the most traction the quickest? Where is step number one if you sat down with the leadership team for an organization that has a culture issue?
I think there's two pieces to this, and we did this a lot like when we were younger and getting into practice. I mean, one, what's your purpose? Like, what's your why, right? And like, why are you doing not just like practice care every day, but why are you doing life? Like, what is your real purpose? And if you can't describe that, then every little hit's going to make you swing, or everything's going to make you go, oh, squirrel there, something there. I'm going to do that. Like, what's your purpose and why are you doing it? And then I also think one of the biggest piece, and I do this with patients, and I also do this just in life. And I think if we're opening a new business or practice, I would do it for sure, is where do you want to be?
Mm,
Right. And so most people don't even know where they're going. They're
mm,
just along for the ride. And if you don't know where you're going, then how do you know who you need to be or become to get there? How do you know what works in your life to get there? How do you know any action step you should or shouldn't take, right? So I think you have to have your purpose and then you have to know like where do you really want to be? In a year, in 5, in 10, in 20. And I do this with patients who will come in with a whole array of challenges. And I'm like, that's awesome. You want to be out of discomfort, or you want this lab to look good, or you want to be able to take a walk, but where do you really want to be? Like, let's talk a
mm,
bit deeper. Like,
mm,
do you want to sleep, but why? Like, if you
mm,
don't know where you're going, you don't have a roadmap, then how can you use your purpose as your compass to guide you? You can't. And so you got to know where you want, what you want it all to look like, taste like,
mm,
feel like what do you want it to be, and get really into that to know that. And then your systems will be your roadmap to get there. But you got to know that piece, or you don't even know what's limiting you from getting there because you don't even know where you're going. It's like if you just get in your car and you just start driving, you don't know where you're going. Okay, you can drive for days. It's fine, but you're not getting anywhere, you know?
Yeah, what is the outcome? So if I drop down a Monopoly board and to people that never played Monopoly and to start playing, they don't know that the goal is to get as many properties as possible and as much money as possible. So how do you win a game when you don't know the outcome? And it's interesting that this was your answer because I've called you for advice at different points in my career, and that's always your answer is, well, what do you want? And let's reverse engineer it.
There you go.
Beautifully said. So, you've accomplished so much in your 22 plus year career, and I know you're just getting started. And I know there's so much juice in your tank, and I know you're always working on such amazing initiatives. Tell me what's exciting you the most right now, and what you're working on right now.
It's interesting because this goes back to the do and be. I mean, for years, I was like, what's the next thing I want to do? You know, my husband would always be like, if you get 2 days of downtime, you're going to start something brand new. You know, I did that over and over, like different things, or this technique, or this business, or write these books, or do this. And that was great, or do consulting. And it's interesting because right in front of me all the time was exactly what I wanted. Like I'd already created it. And so for me, it's to a point now where I just I love what I'm doing. And I don't say that in a way like I'm not trying to grow, but now it's fun. It's all fun. So
Mm,
we hired another chiropractor to join us 2 weeks ago, and she's awesome. And I'm really more interested in growing these people. And
mm,
so I love my practice. I want to stay in it. I want to love the people that we care for. So I'm not so much into this road of like, what's my next achievement per se. I'm
mm,
far more into how can I grow these people? How can I grow these patients? How can I really not miss a minute of my family life? And so it's a weird place for someone who's always been about the next achievement. So I have no big projects going on, but I'm loving the ride of like what I'm doing. And I know that I think for me, like if 13 people reach out off of this and want help, I'll just help you. Like I don't know. I'm not looking
mhm.
to like create this next massive thing. I really want to enjoy the next like 10 or 20, whatever years I stay in this model. Um, and I'm good. Like it feels good just to say like I'm just gonna keep loving and giving and serving and really enjoy like the celebrations of how that works because it took a lot of the grit to like strive and sacrifice and struggle to get to the point where I can do that, and that's really what I'm doing. I have about, to be on the personal piece, I have a few years left with these teenage kids in my house, and
Mm.
I love my practice more than I've ever loved it. And so for me, that's it. I do this because I love it. Like I'm not looking for the next big product. I don't need to create it. I'll just help people where they want help. I'll do things where they need, where I'm called. And that feels really good.
That sounds like fulfillment to me, where you can just settle into where you are and with the people that you serve, and you really embody a compassionate leader, someone that is. I mean, you answered the question by saying, I just want to serve the new doctors that work in my clinic. I just want to serve the people that come into our clinic. Like you embody a compassionate leader. And sometimes it's not striving for the next thing, but just enjoying where we are at and
Yeah.
being where we are at. So that is beautiful advice in a culture where it seems to me like everybody's just trying to get to the next place.
Yeah.
And congratulations to you
Thank
for
you.
having so much clarity and accomplishing so much. And as we finish up this conversation, and I know it's the first of many we're going to have on the topic, I always like to end our podcast with a lightning round of questions. Are you
Okay.
ready?
I'm
Yeah,
ready.
I know you're ready. You're always ready. One word to describe your care philosophy.
Wellness.
Wellness. A book, podcast, or person that's influenced how you care.
Mm. The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer is probably the most profound book or you could say even you can watch his PBS special. That one I've done and watched over and over and over, and every time I get something else out of it. So that's
L-
that's it.
Love that. I remember when we read that around the same time we got to see him speak.
Yeah.
Favorite part of your day with patients?
Every second. Like not a favorite part. Like if you're here, I love it. Like that's it.
That's awesome. One thing you wish every patient knew about you.
Mm. Well, I think for me, I just hope they know I struggle too. Like
Mm.
I do tell most of them that. Like I don't have it all figured out. I have we all have our stuff. Like that's one of my husband's and my favorite lines. Everybody has, we kind of say it another way, but everybody has their stuff. So I have that too. And so they need to know that I'm human. Like I have things I work on every single day. And so because I think the reason that comes into play is sometimes they'll be like, well, I was afraid to tell you that
Ah.
I actually decided to have like 5 Diet Cokes. And I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. I have my stuff. Like, let's just move on. Like, great. Okay. Like, so I don't ever want to come off like I have it all figured out or that my life is perfect. And in a social media world where everybody loves to be the image that's online, I have a lot figured out. And I've cleaned up a lot through the years to make myself healthier and happier and be able to give more. But I want them to know, as if anybody should know, that every single person struggles. And if you can really get past your ego and just admit that, you can get better in whatever it is you want to get better in. And I don't want them to ever feel there's a hierarchy. Like, I have
Mm.
my knowledge, you have yours. They've made my life better by being in my office, and I'm making their life better by them showing up in my office. So I think for me, I don't want to ever, I think in a world where everybody sees perfection, there's challenges. Everybody's got challenges. It's how hard are you willing to work on them and make your life better? And it's all possible.
Authenticity. This is
Yeah,
authentic leadership, which is say, I'm willing to get vulnerable to speak, to show you my imperfections to help you move forward.
there you
Beautiful,
go.
Dr. Kim. Finish this sentence. Care
Okay.
is,
Care is what it's all about.
care is what it's
Care is
all about.
human. Like,
So, thank you so much for helping us continue this conversation that's going to ripple through our country because we know that we've got to put care back in healthcare in America. We know we have to care to grow. And if anybody wants to find Dr. Kim or reach out to Dr. Kim, we're going to have her links and her handles all in the show notes. And Dr. Kim, love you,
you
appreciate you,
too.
and thank you so much for coming on the podcast
Likewise.
today.